Greetings, fellow working-class Earthlings. It is I, Captain Dumas Beach of the dreaded Fist of Peace. And as a former Oregonian, before taking to the stars of piracy, I feel it is best that I take you on a little history trip based on today's feature presentation, Dune. One of Oregon's lesser-known tourist hotspots is actually its 40 miles of sand dunes, stretching along the Oregon coast from North Bend to Florence. These sand dunes are a result of thousands of years of erosion from the Pacific Northwest's unforgiving weather conditions. However, in the 1920s, we didn't have all these cool X-Game vehicles, like dune buggies, ATVs, and sandboarding, and back then, the city of Florence hated sand. They thought it was rough, coarse, and sadly, it was everywhere. The constant high winds kept shifting the sand dunes further into the outskirts of the city, flooding the sewage systems while burying homes and cars along the Hesida beach. So, the city of Florence got the bright idea to import beach grass from Europe, since their roots would stabilize the sand along the neighborhoods. Extremely invasive beach grass from Europe, mind you. In 1957, after hearing all the commotion, author Frank Herbert decided to visit the city of Florence himself for an article he was writing documenting the constant battle between Florence and its waves of wind and sand, describing them in his letters as devastating as a tidal wave of property damage. He began to dig deeper into the desert, taking photographs from both helicopter and on foot through the sand dunes, taking note of the battles and the consequences between man and nature, slowly drawing inspiration from the alien-like environment. Although Herbert never published the article, his research and findings are what eventually drew inspiration for his next writing project, and a couple of years later, he released his magnum opus, Dune. Several of his archives and research can actually be found at the Stanislav Public Library in Florence, so you can not only read his reference material donated by Herbert's family, but also visit the very sand dunes that inspired the story you all know and love. Then Florence decided to shove several fucking tons of TNT up a beached whale's asshole and said, hey, this should be our town's pride and joy. But that's a rant for another time.
Who the hell are you?
I'm Captain Dumas Beach of the Dread Fist of Peace.
And where's your ship?
It's in another dimension.
In another dimension.
Well, it wasn't on purpose. Me and my crew on the ship, we did it like a covert op in the Hoxie system where we were raiding this mining company. They caught wind of...
I regret asking that question now.
Sorry, you did ask though.
Well, why are you here?
Well, the captain said he'd give me a ride if I did the intro for him.
Captain, did you get into the melange again?
Okay, maybe I did. Ease up, Dad.
So this is what's been taking you so long to make the damn video.
I might have overdone it with the melange this time, but what the hell ever, right? We're pirates. Fuck it. We try new things out here.
Do you even read the book for research?
No. But that's the ADHD, not the melange. Look, I'll get to it, okay?
You already missed a month.
Well, who's paying me? You? Besides, it's almost a 3-hour movie and I'm constantly pausing to write the funny bits. I needed to take the edge off.
How about you get off your ass and finish the damn video? I'll do the book segments, alright? Would that make it easier?
Fine. I'll boot up the editing software.
Cool. What about the Oregonian?
The what? No, it can't be. I checked the bag before I bought it.
You checked the... No, that guy.
Oh. I don't know. Wait. Oregon? You mean that place where they blew up the whale?
Yeah, exactly.
Man, fuck this. I'm going to bed.
Dune is one of sci-fi's shiniest gems. It began, as Dumas said, when Oregon was being attacked by waves upon waves of sand, eventually leading Herbert's research into writing the book. The book was praised by many, although renowned author J.R.R. Tolkien wasn't really a fan of it himself. Where Tolkien's worlds focused on the struggles of good against evil, Dune reached into that moral gray area where there isn't really good or evil, but civilizations and the wars they fight. We always like to imagine the future as being something to look forward to, like in Terrahawks, where apparently we don't fight wars anymore, even though we're at war with Zelda, which is the name of the villain in Terrahawks, and she is in fact not a beautiful princess. Blind optimism can sometimes leave us in blissful unawareness to reality. Where good and evil are concepts we created for ourselves to differentiate things we consider good or bad, civilizations are often forced into situations that are less than favorable, and they have to make difficult choices, oftentimes with incredible consequences. We like to say that murder is wrong until we demand the guillotine for justice. Or we say that stealing food is wrong unless it's to feed a starving family. Things are not always as black and white as they seem, and Herbert understood this, perhaps more than Tolkien, but that's entirely speculative on my end. Well, with the book's popularity, Alejandro Jodorowsky set out to make his own movie based on the book. Even got some familiar faces to work on it, like Dan O'Bannon on special effects. My man! Unfortunately, Alejandro's movie fell apart in the pre-production phase, probably because the budget for his vision got too big, but I'm not sure if that's what actually happened. It just sounds like the thing that makes the most sense to me. It wasn't until the year of 1984 that the movie world would get a proper entry based on Dune, although this film had one David Lynch at the helm. Who is David Lynch? I don't think I can answer that. I don't think anyone can answer that. Well, the movie was met with mixed responses as people weren't really sure what the hell this movie was trying to be. Star Wars was still extremely popular, and usually movies of the time sought to emulate it to some degree. But Dune wanted to stand out stylistically, and make no mistake, the movie is visually and atmospherically impressive. Break out the space weed for this shit, it's a vibe. But what kind of movie are we dealing with exactly? Well, let's set our mind in motion by the juice of SAPHO, and look out for worm sign as the sleeper awakens in Dune. This film is dedicated to Federico De Laurentiis. For those who don't know, this is the incredible film producer behind the works of She Dances Alone, King of the Gypsies, and a little-known movie called King Kong in 1976. It's not the original King Kong, but it seems like a fun watch. I figured I'd mention this because most people will overlook it, but I figure out of respect I'd mention him so he wasn't just a name to everyone. Rest in peace, legend. Dino De Laurentiis is the producer of Dune and father of Federico. Unfortunately, Federico would never get to see the film because he had tragically died in a plane crash on July 15, 1981. So his legacy lives on through the legacy of the Dune movie. With this information now conveyed, it's time to start the movie.
The beginning is a very delicate time.
Yes. Yes, it is. This lady just appears out of nowhere like she's fucking Sinistar.
I am Sinistar. Beware, I live.
So the movie starts with this lady who says that the year is 10,191, and that her father, the Emperor, is the ruler of the known universe. She then says that the spice melange is the most important thing in the universe, because it can do basically anything. It makes you live longer, expands your mind, and is apparently important to the function of space travel. Sounds like a very important element, right?
Oh yes. I forgot to tell you. The spice exists on only one planet in the entire universe.
Wait a minute. it's only found on one planet? You don't think that for a few interstellar civilizations, it could lead to a supply and demand crisis? Are they not thinking that far ahead? They're betting their entire technological progress on a spice that can only be found on a single planet in the entire known universe. I'm no economist, but I have played Stellaris, and that sounds like a bad idea. You should really look for alternative options. Have you considered building Dyson spheres? Or just regular-ass solar panels? She then explains about the people who live on the planet. They are called Fremen, and they have a prophecy that a man will come and lead them to freedom. Because every fantasy civilization back then borrowed a copy of the hero's journey and thought it was a Bible, apparently. If we just wait, someone will come along and solve our problems for us. Can you tell I hate prophecies? I didn't even like it when they did it in Star Wars. I didn't care so much when I was a kid, but as an adult, I'm bothered by it.
The planet is Arrakis, also known as Dune.
Dun, 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 dun. More intro credits. We're so proud of this one. Also, we're in Oregon. Well, maybe they shot this in Oregon. I could be wrong. It'd be full circle if they did. The music is also done by Toto. Who's Toto? I don't know. But I hear he really likes the rains down in Africa. There's also another family member involved with producing this thing, Rafaela de Laurentiis. She's known for Dune, Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow, the Dragonheart series, and What Happened to Monday.
A secret report within the guild.
It's not a secret if we know about it. The disembodied voice goes on to explain they believe a plot is being made to halt spice production on Arrakis. We're also briefly introduced to the main factions at play in this epic tale. Caladan is home to House Atreides, Giedi Prime is home to House Harkonnen, and Kaitane, the home planet of the Emperor of the known universe. It is on Kaitane that our story begins.
The spice must flow.
A third stage guild navigator is sent to meet with the Emperor. Their ship has arrived and these strange humans exit the spacecraft. Inside we see the most incredible throne room ever, which I hear the White House wanted for the Oval Office, but they couldn't afford it because they already blew through all of our money. Whoops, did I slip that in? Everyone then evacuates the room as the most uninterested alarm I've ever heard starts going off. That shit don't even work as a microwave alarm. Princess Sinistar, known in the movie as Irulan, is told that she must leave. And she does. She does it so well that she left the damn movie almost in its entirety. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you think she was a character? Nope. She's just an exposition device. And we're done with her for now. You'd think if she's gonna be the one telling the story, that she would be here to witness these things? But David Lynch does things a little differently. Okay, the cape thing looks kinda badass. As the guild is disembarking the vessel, Agent 47 as a woman arrives to help with the meeting. She is to provide telepathy for the meeting.
I am your truth, sir, my lord. He's here, my lord.
The palace door opens, and in enters a giant black pod escorted by members of the guild. For all I know, this might as well be the Guild of Calamitous Intent.
Welcome to the Guild of Calamitous Intent. Ta-da! Please step on the grating and put these on. Have you eaten breakfast? Oh, not yet. Good.
A translation device is used in the meeting, and they request for Agent 47 to leave. So she leaves. Why did she even show up in this scene? Also, Who is the guild exactly? Are they supposed to have more power than the Emperor of the known fucking universe? Okay, so she leaves, but she still provides telepathy from the other room. She still has use. Thank God. I was about to make another star crystal reference. So once they are sufficiently alone, they open the pod to reveal a giant aquarium full of, well, I don't know really. Looks like orange Fanta, but can't exactly tell. Why does it look like it has an ass rash for a face? Okay, that might have been harsh. He can't help that, I don't think. The creature explains that they have arrived here from Ix, which is a planet the guild failed to mention in its secret exposition report, but I guess we don't need to know everything. He then says that Ix has a bunch of new machines, better than the machines on Richess. Is this important? I feel like this is just spacer small talk rather than meaningful dialogue. What is Ix? What is Richess? It then says that it sees plans within plans from the Emperor, involving an artificially created feud between houses Harkonnen and Atreides. The Emperor explains that the Atreides are building a secret army using an unknown technique involving sound.
The Duke is becoming more popular in the Landsraad. He could threaten me.
What the fuck is the fucking Landsraad? Why do I feel like I'm sitting in on some fucking inside joke? So the Emperor's plan is to have House Atreides occupy Arrakis and mine the spice. This will replace the Harkonnens, who are now their enemies. House Atreides will most likely accept the position because of the power they could gain. The Harkonnen, in their anger, will return to Arrakis, and they will launch a sneak attack on House Atreides. He's even offered the Baron of the Harkonnen 5 legions of his Sardaukar terror troops. Thus, the Harkonnen destroy House Atreides for him.
Everybody got that?
One small point.
Here it comes.
The Navigator explains that they foresee a slight problem. Paul Atreides, the son of Duke Atreides. The Guild wants him dead, but he explains that he never said anything and that he was never here. With that, the Guild leaves the palace to, I guess, go back to wherever the fuck Ix is located.
Why would they want the Duke's son killed?
Before you say anything, everyone does the inner voice thing. Get used to it. Agent 47 says to the other agents that they need to look at Paul Atreides. I'm just gonna call them agents because saying Bene Gesserit over and over again is going to kill me. We then fade to planet Caladan, a world of oceans and rocks.
The powerful Bene Gesserit Sisterhood for 90 generations has been manipulating bloodlines to produce the Kwisatz Haderach, a super being.
Thanks, Princess. Now what the fuck is the significance of that? Anyways, she goes on to explain that Jessica, wife of Duke Leto Atreides, has been ordered to bear only daughters, but because of her love for the Duke, she chose to have a son. Human biology doesn't work like that, I think, but, these are space people. Maybe they just can, I guess. And it's here we get to meet the Duke's son, Paul. Paul looks through this computer. He mentions Caladan, then trails off beyond the Bene Tleilax to look at the training planet of the Mentats, the human computers. I won't lie, this exposition is already starting to make me go insane. Paul goes on to look and internal monologue about Arrakis, and the computer shows him a carryall placing harvesters in the sand, explaining that they are picked up when worm sign is detected. There's also no water or rain on Arrakis. This whole bit, I think, explains some parts that are important to remember, but it just sounds like the internal monologue of a guy searching Google for pancake recipes. Oh yeah, Paul monologues briefly about the Harkonnens being their enemy, and then the computer randomly touts off that the Baron Harkonnen swore to destroy House Atreides to steal this ducal signet ring for himself. A lot of telling, and not a whole lot of showing going on in this beginning. Let's just go through the relevant stuff so far, very briefly. Floating Princess Head explains the universe we're in so we can cut to the Emperor, who explains that he wants to kill the main characters who haven't even been introduced by this point, and now we're here getting more exposition about Benny Tlilax and Mentos and Signets or some shit. Like, I might not have read the book, but for anyone looking to make adaptations, you can't just copy random bits that have no meaning to the viewer, especially if it doesn't fit into the adaptation. Not to mention that the story so far has been explained by 3 or 4 different characters. I'm actually falling asleep right now. Show, don't tell. Basic fucking rule, guys. Then a bunch of people from the house try to sneak up on Paul. Of course, their footsteps are so fucking loud, it's as if they weren't even trying.
I know, Thufir, I'm sitting with my back to the door. I heard you, Dr. Yui, and Gurney coming down the hall.
Those sounds could be imitated.
I'd know the difference.
Yes. Perhaps he would with that.
Okay, I can't help but crack a stupid smile when they start internally whispering to themselves. Paul deduces that his father wants to test him again. Paul wonders if the test is going to be music-based, but Picard tells him that they're going to do shield practice. Our strapping young lad, however, says that he's not in the fucking mood, and I just love the childlike ignorance he has to the current situation. Picard isn't having it and orders Paul to engage in shield combat. This shield design is quite unique in that while looking goofy, it seems quite practical as far as shields go, even if they look like 2 pieces of tofu locked in Mortal Kombat. Interestingly, the design was so influential that engineers built an entire truck using the same design philosophy and some adhesives to put it all together. The engineers also studied at the Institute of Microsoft Word Templates, so you know you're getting quality bullshit.
What's wrong with Gurney? He's not picking this. Now, guard yourself for truth.
And you better make it so, or I'm gonna fuck you up like I did that glass display!
No!
So Gurney ain't fucking around this time, so I hope Paul is ready to defend himself. Otherwise, Gurney will need to explain to the Duke why his son was stabbed with a knife before the big trip to Arrakis. Imagine how stupid you'd probably look. Probably really fucking stupid. You stupid person! I'm sorry. I've been feeling particularly spicy lately. After all, the spice must flow. Fucking laugh! Jesus! The two battle each other with expert technique, I suppose. I can't really tell what they're doing here, but Paul manages to get the upper hand.
Is this what you seek? Good. The slow blade penetrates the shield. But, look down. We'd have joined each other in death. If it seemed finally to get the mood.
Paul is the son of a duke with a lot to learn about what his life entails. His trip to Arrakis will be especially dangerous, so Gurney is making sure not to pull any punches.
Would you really have drawn my blood?
If you'd have fought 1 whit below your abilities, I'd have given you a good scar to remind you.
See? Paul complains that things are getting too serious, but Gurney tells them that they're going to Arrakis, so it's time to be a big boy and be part of the new family business. Paul then asks Yui about the worms of Arrakis, to which Yui goes on an almost whimsical explanation of how he has a film book of a smaller specimen, and that worms can grow to be up to 450 meters long. But they're in the deep desert, not in Arrakeen where they will be. He also says that they don't know much about the Fremen. Just tiny bits, like they exist, some live in the desert, some live in cities.
They have blue within blue eyes.
Oh, the eyes. Yes. Saturation of the blood by the spice melange. Could the spice affect us in other ways?
Many dangers exist on Arrakis.
No, wait. I want to know the side effects. Specifically if I'm supposed to be feeling the sensation of water running down my back, or the taste of copper in my mouth. Thufir explains that the Harkonnen wouldn't give up their Chom Company contract so easily. Paul believes that while the Harkonnens are the enemy, he suspects the Emperor is behind them. Though they seem aware of the trap being laid for them, they believe that their new sound army will be enough to keep them protected. Now we get a demonstration of what the Atreides refer to as a weirding module. Paul is given one of these modules as the soldiers vacate the room. A fighter is descended from the ceiling for Paul to train with. Paul starts humming, and then he lets out a bark is how I would describe it. The basic way I can describe a weirding module is with 3 syllables. Fussroda. If I had to guess, the way you use it is by the resonance of your vocal cords. I suppose you charge it with a hum and then let out a yell to trigger the mechanism, which is neat, but I really fail to see how this is any different from any energy-based weapon, like a plasma gun or a blaster. So yes, the Atreides are betting all their chips on what is effectively a fancy-schmancy gun. And how do they choose to demonstrate this thing? By having Paul step into a ring with the fighter module so he can dodge the obviously deadly attacks at close range, and taking an occasional shot at it with his Fussroda cannon. This is meant to be impressive, but all I can think is how impractical of a weapon this is. It's more work to do it this way than with just a regular blaster. Just get a regular blaster. Whatever. Picard thinks it's cool. Also, nothing says home like uniformed soldiers marching down a dark Geiger hallway. Well, it's not exactly Geiger, but that's what I thought of for some reason. Paul wanders the halls until he runs into Francis Seven. Wait, no, god damn it. It's the same actor, but his name is Duncan in this one. Duncan 8! No, I'm kidding, obviously. Duncan wanted to say goodbye as he's going on ahead alone. Paul asks why, and Duncan says it's something for his father. Also, his father wants to talk to him. He then says, "May the hand of God be with you," or something, and he's on his way to Arrakis. Paul walks outside to find his father waiting for him. Leto says that Thufir has served the house for 3 generations, and swears that Paul is the finest student he ever taught. I'm sure it's nothing to do with the fact that he's the Duke's son.
Makes me feel very proud.
I want you to be proud of me.
The silence just became awkward. I'll just look over here. I'll miss the sea. I probably should have responded. Now it's really awkward. Shit. He's gonna make me stay home.
Leto then makes a speech about how people need new experiences because it allows them to grow. Without change, something sleeps inside us and seldom awakens.
The sleeper must awaken.
This line is going to act as our character's motivation. Arrakis is going to challenge Paul, but those challenges will shape him into who he will become. Later that night, Paul has a dream about Arrakis, and...
I will kill you.
Yes, that was Sting. No, I don't know why Paul is dreaming about Sting wanting to kill him. Paul's into some weird hardcore shit. He also dreams about the second moon. The second moon of what? You know what? I'm just gonna assume that it's the second moon of Arrakis, the significance of which I just do not understand right now. We see dripping water, then...
Tell me of your homeworld, Usul.
You know what? I'm trying my best to explain this movie to you, but this movie could maybe do a little better at explaining itself to me. Who the hell are you, bitch? Why do I care? What is going on? Who the fuck is Usul? What is happening in this fucking movie? Whatever. Paul's having a dream, or maybe it's a prophecy vision. Well, anyways, we see this woman walking in the rain, having an inner monologue. The woman is Paul's mother. saying that Agent 47 is here to test Paul and that this test could kill him. So she lets them in the front door. Mother of the fucking year. We then have this scene where Agent 47 scolds Jessica for having a son, but Jessica explained that it meant so much to Leto to have a son, so that weird voiceover earlier was actually not necessary, because the information is conveyed organically here. It's a redundant voiceover. Whatever. Agent 47 said that the plan was to have a daughter of Atreides to marry a Harkonnen, which would establish a peaceful union of houses. But because gay marriage is illegal in space, having a son kinda ruined their plans, and Agent 47 is pissed about that. Paul wakes up from his dream, but hears unrecognizable footsteps, and so pretends to be asleep as Agent 47 enters the room. Agent 47 says that they'll salvage what they can, but Leto gets nothing. Jessica repeats the line with an inner monologue, and I have no idea why they felt the need to add that, because she could have just said that out loud. It would have been more dramatic that way too, you know. Agent 47 is convinced that Jessica was trying to give birth to the Kwisatz Haderach, and is ashamed of Jessica. She then tells Paul to stop bullshitting and to meet her in Jessica's chamber. You can't get nothing past Agent 47. Paul is confused about everything he just heard, as Leto presses his signet into this cylinder. They also have a pug, because of course they do. Paul enters the chamber, and Jessica explains that Agent 47 is going to observe him. Paul can tell that his mother is nervous about something, and yeah, I'd be too. My mother is willingly handing me over to the lady I don't know, and is insisting it's important for some reason. What the fuck?
No. You. How did he?
She's using the voice.
This is the kind of writing you'd see in an anime, except an anime would probably make this cooler somehow. No offense meant, of course. Paul tries resisting, but Agent 47 asks a second time, and Paul just kinda goes with it. Agent 47 then presents a box, and asks Paul to put his right hand in it.
Put your right hand in the box.
What's in the box?
Pain.
So why would I willingly put my hand in there? Because it is part of the test. Okay. Well, here's what I think of your test. I don't go around putting my hand in mousetraps to see if I can stand the pain, nor do I go around sticking my finger in electrical sockets to see if I light up like a Christmas tree. If you think for a second I'm putting any part of my body in that box after you just told me it's going to cause me pain, the answer is no. Fuck you, and get out of my house. Of course, young Paul. But what if I put this up to your neck and say that if you don't put your hand in the box, I'm going to fucking kill you? Wait. Really? Yes, really. Well, when you put it that way, I guess I'll put my hand in the box now. So the thing at his neck is the Gom Jabbar. It only kills animals, but that's part of the test. The box is going to cause Paul a lot of pain, and his instinct will be to flinch and remove his hand. If he does, he dies. The test is to see if his awareness can control his instinct, which I don't know how to explain this to any aspiring Kwisatz Haderachs out there. Taking away your natural instincts will actually get you killed faster. Slowly, his hands begin to itch, then burn, as Paul repeats a mantra in his head.
I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me.
It goes on for a while, but Paul finally lets out a cry of pain, and Agent 47 stops the test.
No woman, child, ever withstood that much.
Hold up. You do this to little girls? You put little girls' hands in that fucking thing? Nah, I hate this society. Shove your space whimsy up your ass, you bald bitch! Whatever. Paul survived the test with his hand unharmed. It was all in his mind. The box uses something called nerve induction, which I suppose you can imagine it like an induction stovetop. You ever seen those things on TV? An induction stovetop heats the pot without heating the surface. So while Paul can feel his hand literally melting in the box, it's just the nerve induction and the not being able to see the hand that plays the dirty trick on Paul's mind. Agent 47 says that anybody can deal with pain, but their test is simply crisis and observation.
I see the truth of it.
I don't. But I guess that's why I'm not the Duke's son. Frankly, I'm kinda glad I'm not. Agent 47 wonders if he is the one, and looks into his mind to find the Usul bitch again, and... I'm sorry, I'm getting spicy again. I think I'd be willing to give this movie more leeway if it didn't already mind-fuck me beforehand. This is still Act 1, by the way. Agent 47 asks if Paul knows of the Water of Life, which is made from worm bile. Nice. Real nice. Well, anyways, Paul knows about it, so good on him. Am I supposed to relate with anyone here? Because I relate to Paul the least. Agent 47 explains that the Sisterhood uses the water to see within, explaining that there is a place, terrifying to women.
It is said, the man will come.
Sorry. She says that the Kwisatz Haderach will go where they can't. Many men have tried and perished for it. Jessica enters, relieved that Paul is alive. Agent 47 says that for his safety he needs the voice. But Paul wants to know about his father. When Agent 47 says, "What's done is done," Paul at this point fears something terrible has been arranged for his father. Agent 47 says no more, and she leaves the chamber with Jessica. Now we get to see Giadi Prime, home of House Harkonnen. There's a weird head-mouth thing, and then we're introduced to Mentat Piter de Vries, who receives a message stating that the Baron is impatient for Leto's reply. This future doesn't have social media or instant galactic messaging systems, so it seems they deliver long-distance diplomatic talks the old-fashioned way, by sending a messenger. And Piter, a Mentat human computer, is the messenger.
It is by will alone I set my mind in motion. It is by the juice of SAPHO that thoughts acquire speed, the lips acquire stains, stains become a warning. It is by will alone I set my mind in motion.
That's gotta be some good coffee there. So Piter takes a monorail thing to meet with the Baron Harkonnen himself. We see this bug-eyed, goggle-wearing dude and an Oddworld cosplayer watching as the doctor performs some kind of procedure on the Baron's disgusting face. Piter arrives and informs the Baron that Leto's response is that vendetta, as put in what Piter describes as ancient tongue, the art of Canley still lives, and Leto no longer wants to speak with the Baron. The Baron doesn't like this news and says that he made his peace gesture obeying the forms of Canley. Don't ask me what Canley is. The Baron requests for Fade and Raban to enter. Who are they? Sting and some ginger dude. The Baron's nephews. Piter explains that they already know of Piter's plan.
My plan! The plan.
Anyways, Piter already told the nephews of the plan to destroy House Atreides. Piter then tells them that no other house in the Landsraad must know of the Emperor's involvement in this. So I guess in this context, the Landsraad is the collective of houses? So there are more houses out there than just the Harkonnen and the Atreides. And they're all part of this collective. Okay, I think I'm understanding it now.
Put the pick in there, Pete. And turn it round real neat.
Wow. I didn't know the Harkonnen could afford Dr. fucking Seuss over here.
You are so beautiful, my Baron. Your skin
love to me.
Okay, Seuss, you're getting a bit too Greek mythology over there. Just ease it back a bit. So yeah, the Harkonnen are nasty technomancer fucks. The guards then bring in this dude wearing a trash bag, and the Baron is giving some uncomfy looks. He then goes on his monologue about he who controls the spice controls the universe, and that they already have a spy within the Atreides house. He then proclaims that the Duke will die before his eyes. His name is also Vladimir. I can see the resemblance, but I think the movie does him more justice. Besides, can the real Vladimir fly? Of course he can't. Movie Vladimir is objectively cooler. Still cooler. Even if that was disgusting as hell.
This is what I'll do to the Duke and his family.
Please don't. So the Atreides now board their great ships in preparation for the journey. They are also bringing the pug. We then fade briefly into this scene where Jessica says she's really gonna miss Caladan. The family is seated as the ships lift off from Caladan and make their way into orbit. Look, I can see Katy Perry from here. This sequence is my favorite part of the movie. It is visually and atmospherically beautiful, and the characters remain quiet nearly the whole time. That's probably why it's my favorite part. We see many lines of ships boarding a giant cylinder that honestly reminds me of Rendezvous with Rama. The Duke's family enters the massive craft and docks up with the Highliner. Leto says that they're about to fold space, off in the control rooms of spice gas. The idea of folding space in this universe is effectively traveling without moving. I find it freaky that the giant cylinder does this, because a long time ago I spotted a flying cylinder over my hometown river, and then it just faded out of existence. It was significantly smaller than the Highliner though, and was a strange metallic-looking craft. I tried to film it, but was suddenly overwhelmed with this unreasonable sense of dread. Since then, I keep seeing these fucking things, and they sometimes show up over my house. And the UAP-related documents we've gotten from Congress had described multiple instances of my exact experience, down to the sense of dread I had. Yeah, I'm just gonna tell you that UAPs are real, and you should absolutely pay attention to that discussion. They are in the fucking skies every day. Just look up once in a while. You'll probably see one. We see more of the massive interior as we see more of those weird ass rash creatures preparing the ship to fold space. Honestly, I love this whole sequence, just for the sense of awe, mystery, wonder, scale, complexity, beauty. It's just a great sequence. I need a VR chat world of this. Somebody get to work on that. I really want to visit some of these places in the movies we cover. And there it is. We arrive at Arrakis. Dune. Desert planet. Then, Han. And a Fremen woman starts talking about fucking prophecies. Oh boy, my fucking favorite. The Fremen prophecy mentions that the Chosen One will enact a jihad that will cleanse the universe. That sounds kinda bad. Oh well, Leto and his family arrive safely on Arrakis, in the region of Arrakeen. Princess Sinistar comes back with another voiceover and says that the Harkonnen may have left some suicide troops behind, so the Duke doubled the patrols. Leto then meets up with Francis. Shit! He meets up with Duncan, and he reports that the Fremen would be truly valuable allies. He also believes that despite the idea that there are only a few Fremen wandering the desert, there may be many more hiding somewhere on the planet. We then see some soldiers getting their weird space people canteens filled with water. while being told that water intake and preservation are essential and the soldiers' responsibility. Thufir complains about the shield not being up, but it's because the soldiers found another sabotage device. I guess these things were everywhere. Thufir hits a desk, saying that the soldiers are finding the sabotage devices too easily, which could mean one of two things. Either Thufir knows the Harkonnens' tactics extremely well, or he's a spy for the Harkonnen. The house shields activate, and the Duke is ready to begin his inspection of the operation. He meets Dr. Kynes, the judge of the change. I don't know, roll with it. He's also an imperial ecologist. He says they're still in the process of removing the last of the Harkonnen presence. Paul asks if he is a Fremen, but Kynes says that he's been serving the Emperor here long enough for his eyes to appear Fremen. Paul takes note of the service of the Emperor part. Duke Leto asks for a demonstration of the still suits they're wearing, so Kynes approaches to do so, but is stopped by Picard. Leto tells Picard to ease up, and everyone stands down. The still suit is described as a high-efficiency filter and heat exchange system. Perspiration passes through the first layer, gathers in the second, and the salt is separated. Breathing and walking is what pumps the suit, and the reclaimed water circulates into catch pockets, which you can drink from using a tube. You can also go to the bathroom in these things and have your waste processed in the thigh pads. Kynes then notes that Paul is wearing his suit in desert fashion, which suggests that Paul has done this before, but he says it's because it just seemed the proper way. Kynes then inner monologues about the prophecy again. They then board the craft. Meanwhile, elsewhere, two soldiers describe an alien language and discover it to be Harkonnen. The craft then lifts off, and the Atreides are on their way to continue the inspection. I don't know why I did that. Airwolf is cool. Yeah, so they love this whole fly over the desert, and Paul asks if they will see a worm. Kynes says that wherever there is spice and spice mining, there are always worms. Worms attack to protect their territory and are attracted to vibrations in the ground. Paul begins profiling Kynes again, believing that he has to be a Fremen, or is at least in with them to some capacity. Yeah, he is, Paul, and so am I. Yui is in the morgue, looking over the suicide troops. He performs an X-ray and discovers his message from the Harkonnen. Well, there goes that suspense. Thufir shows up and says that more bodies are on the way. He then asks if Yui is all right, to which Yui says, "Yeah, I'm good."
Thank you, Thufir.
The group notices what they call worm sign, the movement of sand suggesting a worm. Kynes gets a hold of a nearby harvester to warn them of the worm sign, but Picard clarifies not to mention the Duke. The harvester receives, and the next step is for the carryall to come and retrieve the harvester. The harvester, however, can't get a hold of the carryall, and they believe that it's been destroyed by the Harkonnen, which means they're stuck and basically at the worm's mercy. Not if Airwolf's got anything to say about it!
How many men do you have? Full crew, 26 men. But sire, we can't leave all this spice.
Damn the spice! Get out of there! I can't see him yet, but he's very close now. Damn sloppy. Really damn sloppy. Come on, boys. Come on.
Yeah, you had to see all that. I love when filmmakers use actual physical models like this. Holy Thunderbirds, that was awesome. So they rescued the Harvester crew, lost the Harvester, and Paul has developed a new drug addiction after smelling his hands. What a series of events that just happened. Kyne's inner monologues about how he appreciates that Leto cares more about his people than the spice. Meanwhile, the house is continuing their operation as normal, as soldiers inform Jessica that the native people are awaiting her inspection. God, that just sounds terrible. Yui tells Jessica to wait, as the Harkonnen may have embedded themselves with the Fremen. He runs a scanner over the Fremen, and Jessica asks why Yui seems to hate the Harkonnen, based on his voice. Yui explains that his wife was... Well, he can't finish his words, but Jessica is pretty sure his wife was killed by the Harkonnen. I'd feel bad for him if I didn't already know that he was a backstabbing traitor. Jessica seems to catch on, though, that he's holding back something. The mark on his head signifies his imperial conditioning, though, so she's just unsure.
The Bene Gesserit mother. The legend.
The prophecy. Well, small Fremen lady says that she needs to warn Jessica and her son of the danger. We then cut to Paul feeding his new drug addiction. It takes one spice tablet to cause Paul to go on yet another spirit quest, before returning to reality. He hears a floating needle device enter the room, as he has an anime moment where he explains, through inner monologue, what the thing is and what it's doing. It's called a Hunter Seeker, I think, and it locates you through movement. Paul stands still, planning to grab the device when it attacks. It doesn't notice him, though, and starts to leave.
It's what have killed me.
I was its target.
Nice save. Her name is Shoutout Mapes, the housekeeper. She then warns that they have a traitor in their midst. You know, if you were trying to warn Paul about a traitor, Mapes, you kinda showed up a little late for that. So alarms go off and soldiers are running around. They quickly find the Harkonnen responsible, but it seems he's already dead. Leto is angered about the attack on his son, and Thufir reports that the Harkonnen was a Mentat, and that's that, Cat in the Hat. Arakeen is now under martial law, and the soldiers are being mounted up everywhere. Because their new army is still being trained, they have to rely on their shields to... Wait! You mean your new army isn't even ready yet? You know this is a trap, and you're betting on this new army that's not even finished training? I'm sorry. Am I the stupid one? What's going on here? Am I going insane?
But if it is a trap, then why are we going?
We have our new army. Our new army is still in training, but everything is shielded.
Man, I don't even know. But check out these Harkonnen ships coming to wreck the Atreides shit. Night falls in Arakeen, as everyone is going about their duties. Leto wishes Paul goodnight, but Paul isn't asleep. He's been drugged and can't warn anybody! Leto has an inner monologue about how he regrets not marrying Jessica, and we then see Mapes on the floor dying. Leto tries to help, but Mapes is now dead. And Yui drugs Leto and sabotages the shield generators. Too bad about that new army, am I right? Except Yui destroyed all the weirding modules and has brought the shields down. But while Yui is betraying Leto, he says he's going to give Leto a chance to kill the Baron. The Baron wants to gloat over Leto, but Yui replaces Leto's tooth with a poisoned one. When the Baron gets close enough, he's supposed to bite down on the tooth and exhale into the Baron's face. Leto won't survive, but neither will the Baron. Yui replaces the tooth and says that if Leto does this, he'll save Paul and Jessica. The soldiers scramble to reactivate the shields, but the Harkonnen bombers begin striking Arakeen, hitting the Atreides while they're down. The pug is also on the loose in the halls, as all of this is happening, and if David doesn't want to get on my bad side, that dog better live! Arakeen is helpless to the relentless bombings as Thufir discovers the weirding modules have all been destroyed. So much for that new army, am I right? The bombs destroy all the landed craft, Harkonnen ships set down in their place, and troops begin to spill out. Armies rush to battle as Picard leads the way! Paul and Jessica are now tied up. Jessica is gagged to keep her from using the voice. Smart move by the Harkonnen, actually. I almost forgot about the voice. The Baron starts gloating at Jessica and Paul as he floats around, being a Vladimir. Yui is crying in a closet somewhere. Judas. The Baron spits on Jessica because we really need to emphasize how disgusting he is. Leto is being tortured by Sting, and Piter acts depraved. Can you tell I'm trying to hurry this shit along? We get it, the Harkonnen are sick fucks. The battle rages on as Piter orders a Harkonnen to take Paul and Jessica to the deep desert, where they will be eaten by the mighty Sarlacc, where they will know the new meaning of pain and suffering after being digested for over 1,000 years. I'm kidding, they're gonna get eaten by worms. Troops breach the walls, but Duncan is alive, wearing his stillsuit and armed with his weirding module. Duncan kicks ass in this scene, but unfortunately, a Seeker slowly passes through the shield and gets Duncan right in the head. So, what are we on now? Francis 9? Thank you, I'll be here all day. The Atreides forces are decimated, and Yui is brought to the Baron.
You wish now to join your wife? Is that it, traitor? She lives? You wish to join her? Join her.
Dude. What are you still doing here? This is a two-parter. The first part is over. Go home.
It is by will alone that I set my mind in motion about the fruits of SAPHO. My mind's a Christ.
Still getting a ride.